When you think of the Porsche Panamera, you probably think of the first generation variant. It was a dumpy looking four-door saloon that tried to look a little bit like a 911, but it ultimately failed. Now, to be fair, the new Panamera has come a long way since then, but you'd still be hard pushed to say that it looks like a truly attractive car. But you see, that's all about to change, because the car we've got behind us is the new Panamera Sport Turismo. And it does away with all of that baggage of trying to look like a rear-engined 911. Instead, it gets a shooting brake rear end, and that does three things. It cleans up the aesthetics of the standard car, gives an increased boot capacity, and increased interior flexibility. Now, we'll have a little bit of a look at practicality in more detail later, but for now we're surrounded by some of Vancouver's best driving roads, so I think we should get out there and see if this new Sport Turismo delivers the exhilarating driving experience that we've come to expect from the Porsche brand. Unsurprisingly, the Sport Turismo gets the same lineup of engines as the Panamera. So you get the 4, the 4S and the 4E hybrid, which all use the same V6, as well as the top of the line V8 turbo, and the car we're driving here, which is a V8 diesel S. Now, there will be some of you out there, I'm sure, who still think that having a diesel in a Porsche is somewhat sacrilegious. But I would hazard a guess the people who say that haven't experienced this particular engine. With 416 brake horsepower and over 600 foot-pounds of torque, this is one seriously quick car. It can get to 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds and will go on to a top speed of 177 miles an hour. But even more impressive than that is the engine's real-world flexibility. Despite being turbocharged, if you put your foot down it, there's hardly any lag before you get up and go. And as well as that, because it's a diesel, it'll pull from below 1500 RPM all the way to its 5000 RPM redline. As we all know, the standard Panamera is no lightweight, and with a tacked-on rear boot, this is certainly no lighter. But with air suspension and optional four-wheel steering, this car is remarkably agile for its size. Into tight and snickety corners, it feels remarkably agile. And then when you're on high-speed sweepers like you might find on a German autobahn or a UK motorway, it feels remarkably composed. Paired with steering that's much heavier than you would find in any other rivals, this is genuinely one of the most confidence-inspiring sports saloons to push hard. In terms of ride, the Sport Turismo is set up pretty much like the standard Panamera, and that's to say it feels fairly firm. Don't get us wrong, it's a great chassis setup and it rides bumps very well. However, if you want that limousine type compliance, we'd recommend that you go for a Mercedes CLS on Air or an Audi A7. Seeing that the Sport Turismo's main feature is its larger boot, I think it's important we take a look. Now, despite the roofline being significantly taller, you might be surprised to learn that the boot of the Sport Turismo is only 4% bigger than the standard Panamera. But as we know, practicality's not just about raw figures. If you actually take a closer look, it's got a much wider aperture than the standard car and a much lower load lip, which makes putting shopping or getting your dog into the boot much easier. Another advantage of going for the Sport Turismo over the standard Panamera is you get the option of this middle seat. Now, our only reservation would be is that it really is only suitable for children, because as you can see, if I try and get in the middle, you have a massive transmission tunnel between your legs. Now, this would be okay for a short journey, but really any longer than that and you really would get frustrated. On paper, the Sport Turismo's gains over the standard Panamera are small, but once you add them all together, the Sport Turismo is actually one of the most practical sports saloons currently on the market. Now, if you'd like a little bit more in-depth analysis on the car, make sure to search for Porsche Panamera Sport Turismo on whatcar.com. And if you'd like more videos like these, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.